Hi,
We
everybody.
are live.
Welcome back to the Synthase Live Composition Masterclass. Today's the 29th of August, 2024, and I'm Nate May, Director of Synthase, an online school for music creators. And this is,
Susie Ling, I'm associate director. I'm assistant or associate. I don't remember. Director of Synthase and online school for music creators.
awesome. You're whatever you want to be. Um,
Well, you could go like adjunct director also.
no, you're definitely above that notch. Cool. So we've got two pieces to listen to today. And if you're in the chat, please say hi, especially if you're one of the composers. We love interacting with composer, um, the composers as we're listening to their music and talking about it. So if you're new to our live streams, the way this works is we had submissions from people who sent us their music. We're going to listen to it and just give some comments on it. And these will be our live reactions. So, uh, yeah, enjoy.
All right. Shall we take a plunge?
Sure.
So first in the row, Stephen Morris. Piece is called Warriors of the Sky. Warm you. It looks really impressive.
Cool.
Uh, Ta-da! And like I guess first thing, what is like clicks? 8 clicks free.
I I don't know. I wonder if that's like a film scoring thing or something.
It could be, could be.
Hmm.
And I think Steven also submitted a piece last week. It's about chipmunk. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Excited. Shall
Great.
we?
Let's give it a listen.
Give it a listen. I will try my best to turn the page because as soon as I get in, it will be really hard. All right, let's go. Ooh. Nice. Ooh.
Nice.
I Oh, the ending. I almost want like one more chord at the very end, but cool, really cool.
Wow.
Like the
Yeah.
end. The
What?
end I was just thinking about it was going da di da 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 di da da di da 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 da. It feels like so on the downbeat. Like what if it's da di da da di da 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 da? Just like one more.
Mm.
It will feels like because right now it's really sometimes when it's too regular, you feel like it's too perfect. It's less raw.
Mm.
Like if you have the da 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 da, it's almost like you were just like uh should I do a cuss word? I shouldn't. Okay, so it would be like I hit the brake at the very last second. I barely hold my car before the
Mm,
stoplight.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Da-da-da-da-da. Ah.
Yep, exactly.
Uh-huh. Cool. Yeah, super vivid. Also, amazing playback. I don't know if because like the choir sounded like software, but everything else sounded super real. Um,
How can choir not sound like software?
yeah, maybe in 10 years they'll AI
Yeah.
that. But yeah, Warriors of the Sky makes me think it's for some kind of like Top Gun movie or something. And I could
Ooh.
totally see that. And this feels like an overture, in the sort of John Williamsy style, to me. And I think it does really well there. We have different moods. We kind of go into that more lyrical mood right after the adventurous stuff, and then we just explore different things. I love, just like with the Chipmunks piece, you're always keeping us on the edge of our seats with the little hits. Like it's not predictable, but it's um, regular enough that like it makes sense in retrospect, but not before it happens, if that makes sense. Uh, and yeah, there's just so much energy and so many little
Yeah.
ideas, like that little diminished thing.
Right.
That,
Oh yeah, when it first showed up, it was like so jarring, but it
yeah,
makes sense to be there.
yeah. And then it
Like
came back in the oboes or whatever.
a very small thing though. It's like I love like all the energy, and I think you have a really really good sense of like pacing of keep the energy going and admire that. Um, one tiny thing of like a technical side that like usually for horn you have one, two, three, four. Technically, for whatever reason, one, three are the high one, two, four are the low one. So for example, over somewhere I've seen, um, not like over here, like of course they're all playing unison. If you want to like do octave doubling, it would be like one and three will take the high one, two and four will take the low one. Um, Somehow my phone picked up my voice and started playing.
Oh.
Well, it happens. Like for over here, the chords, like a more idiomatic way of write it is that even though in playback and if you do like you're scoring logic, it doesn't really matter. But like if for like live people to play, like it's more idiomatic to have like one and three and two and four. Then yeah, I hope it makes sense.
Okay. And Stephen is in the chat and said it was a live performance by the European Recording Orchestra.
Oh, oh.
So that's why sounded so live, and it's really awesome that there was a.
Is the choir also live?
Yeah, that's my question. Was the choir live?
Wow.
Because if so, they got their live choir to sound like software choir.
Which is really amazing if you can do that.
Yeah.
Like, and and also my
Oh.
EDBD questions like over here, your quiet yet intense section started with cello, picked up by viola. Really nice. It almost made me wonder, like, would it be possible? Because like afterward, depending on what you want, if it's like this is getting quieter, then the sudden build up starts like over here, directly plunge into like the big ending section, which you have is great. Um, but like if you want like a gradual build up over here, like it would be nice to have the viola being doubled by something else because it feels kind of like what if it's like a da da di da da di da da di da di da? What if you have like um violin to pick a pizzicato, 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 pizzicato. So it's like are you hearing? I guess you're not hearing anything. Like whenever I am moving, it will be your violin could be on top. Sort of like an octave pizzicato on top to like not be super like over the top, but can also like put another layer of like punctuation or like percussiveness. if you like it.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, the choir is programmed.
Okay, yeah. Cool. Um,
Wow.
well, that's great. I wasn't able to follow the score because it was tiny on my screen. Um, so I don't have those kinds of detailed things, and I'm really glad you do, Susie. But
At
I was,
one end,
yeah.
I in the middle of it, I remember there was like at one place I can't find it right now, but like the oboe has like a solo line. Then it was like on top of, I believe, timpani. I wonder in I was like I think because now I know it's a real performance, I'm just almost wondering if what if the okay, it's a flute. What if the flute has a little bit of a help? Because right now okay, I can't find it. But anyway, it's like it's one of those woodwind solo line that I am almost wondering the line is so energetic, but then it's also like that solo player is holding on to their dear life to trying to really project. You know, like
Mm.
they could maybe use some help. That would be great. But it
Yeah,
sounds great.
yeah,
I
and
love
that's
the energy.
one thing about recording orchestras, depending on how they're recorded, um, you may
Here.
not have to deal with the same balance things that you would deal with a live orchestra. And I think it's probably good practice to balance everything as if it were live. I don't know. Actually, I wonder. I'm sure film composers deal with that question all the time. Like, are you are you balancing it as if everything is live, or are you going in thinking I can just turn up this fader here for these flutes, so it doesn't really matter. Stephen, you might know more about that than
Yeah.
than I do. Um, but yeah, it's
Cool.
a totally different kind of approach when you're orchestrating for like a concert hall, probably.
I'm almost wondering if you're doubling like da 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 dee da. What if like instead of having oboe to double it, like have English horn? But then I also know sometimes oboe players, especially for like a double, they hate to double a English horn because they make them feel less important than being like an oboe player. But anyway.
This-
Just the same thing as when you ask your timpani player to also like, can you please hit the cymbal for one time throughout this 45 minutes? And they'll be like,
oh,
no.
you got to pay him extra. That's two different. That's two different instruments. Yeah, yeah, in the
Cool.
category of being nice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, this is awesome, Stephen. Really, thank you for submitting another piece and giving us a chance to listen to it, and our other people watching a chance to listen to it as well. Anything else, Susie,
Yeah.
or should we move on?
And Steven just said like going back to the comment to the build up comment, like yeah, like if you don't want to build up, I think it's really effective. It's like a really nice surprise before like this ending part.
Mm,
It's just a drew. Yeah,
yeah.
cool. Should we move on?
Sure.
All right, next up we have Akbar.
Cool. Akbar has
And
also submitted a piece previously.
cool. And this is a are we ready? This is also a large ensemble piece. We have a bunch of large ensemble. And I also don't know, is it like more of a film thing that like you basically write all the instrument out instead of just having like flute one and two share one line, like French horn, like yeah, like they share one, three, two, and four, they share the same line. Is it
Mm.
more of a film thing or just like be efficient?
I don't know if it's a film thing. I imagine, yeah, if your parts are getting complicated, then it's easier to do that than to deal with stems going in different directions.
Yeah. Shall we?
Sure. Oh, I need to switch some stuff. Sorry. Okay, now we're good.
Nice. Nice. It would be such a great French form line, though. This
Oh
one.
yeah.
Like Prokofiev Symphony Number 5, that opening. Yeah. Huh.
Cool.
Cool.
Thank you, Akbar. And this is an Akbar writes also in the submission. This is another part of Symphony Number One, and it's not
Okay.
organized. And they said it's not organized, and I didn't put legatos and stuff. Trying to finish it as fast as possible, and too lazy to finish it now. So, I guess part of our job is to Akbar is to give you the motivation to finish this because it's really close. This is part 4.
If it's part 4 for a symphony, I mean, like a typical symphony ending, if you have four movements, the last movement, it's like it would be stylistically like more idiomatic if it's like ending loud, and because like part four is the end of a, depending on like how you want out of it, if it's like for concert performance after four movements, then what you want is after the final chord everybody stand up, so bravo. Like your endings, like it's like you will leave people like cool. You know,
Yeah.
like your ending will like generate this like 5 seconds of silence
Mhm.
before people start to reacting to something.
Yeah. That is the traditional way of doing it. But, you know, I guess, there are other approaches and there are reasons to buck tradition sometimes too, I think. Um,
Do you want to go first or do you want me to go
Go
first?
for it. I have a couple of things, but I'll just keep churning them.
All right, so couple my first thing's like the end. I love how like tender the ending is. Then I'm almost wondering, would it like maybe try it out, see whether you like it or not. Like because of how tender it is, then and I almost want the ending to kind of like end on the high register, sort of like go floating higher. So like it's somehow it ends in the mid register. Like see how you like it, move it higher a little bit. See, maybe you will like it more, maybe not. Or like you could like it's because it's like a nice E, you could like basically put in natural harmonics instead of landing on the actual E. What if it's like a natural harmonic that is one octave higher but
Hmm.
more tender? Like also like it would be like a warmer as well. Um, then going back, one thing I have, it's like I don't know, it's such a wild ride. You know, like whenever I listen to long pieces for the very first time, I have like thoughts along the way. Then like new thoughts like got rid of the old one. It's almost like you're in a cornfield. You decide you want this like most perfect piece of corn cob, then you kind of just like got one, then you got another one throughout the previous one, then throughout the previous one, then in the end it's just like, oh yeah, there were so many interesting looking corn, but I only kept one. But anyway, the one corn I kept was in the middle of it. I remember there was like a long trajectory of like your harp line goes like a D D, that octave jump. If I can find it. If not, I hope you know what am I talking about. Nate, do you know what am I talking about?
I'm not remembering that long.
Ah, ah,
Oh,
ah, ah.
oh, yeah,
Here,
yeah.
here, 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 here. So it's like it like once it started, when it first entered, it was such an entrance and just like, oh yeah, it's so nice to have it here. Then I'm just like wondering, could it be like could it be like after it's going, like after a while, play with it a little bit. What if it's like octave? Then like in the middle of it, what if like because I don't know, I always feel like music is an art of playing with people's memory, especially for like first time listeners. What if like after they have this impression built into their mind, in the middle of it, it disappeared for one bar. It
Hmm.
disappeared. D D D. It's not here anymore. D D D. It's back. Then it's like, oh, what is that emptiness? Like, what if like it gradually turned into a conversation between it and like and the violins? What if it's like whenever the violin has a long note, it's coming in. Whenever violin's going, it drops out. Then what if like building on top of it, like your flute comes in, double the high note. Then you have like what if you have like a clarinet doing the low one? So like then it can turn into like a very orchestrated out version of this harp one note. Then what if like you start to like turn that into like give it more character? Because like when you have this octave, it's like a canvas that invites so many more things. What if it's like can play with chords. You can play with blocks. Like, this is always like nice and subtle. I love the way it is, but like play with it. What if it can get violent? It can get powerful. It can get gradually. Can you see this connected to your timpani at the very beginning? Because like the beginning, the timpani eighth note was like so strong. And of course I cannot find it. Uh, uh, the beginning timpani, it's like da 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 da. What if actually in the end, when you gradually build it into your next big comeback of like the beginning part, it turns out the harp and timpani, they're always the same thing. That like it's like after the build up, you see them together, and then that's when you realize, oh yeah, they're the same thing. It could be really cool. It could be like a whole arc of the harp.
Cool. Could you explain that last bit a bit more? The harp and the timpani are the same thing.
It's like because I think at the very beginning, like when you first hear the piece, you wouldn't really think the timpani and the harp are the same thing, right? You would think they're completely different.
Mhm.
Like the timpani is like the timpani is like what if like after a little bit the harp it's like it's
Oh, I see. Using the same ideas.
then it gets building up, it gets louder, get more percussive, and have like doubling on top. Then eventually people realize, oh yeah, the harp I've been listening to and the timpani, they're always the same thing, they're connected.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like after reading 300 of that novel, you realize, Luke, I'm your dad.
Yeah. Okay, I followed that logic. Um,
That's my logic. All
cool.
right.
Yeah, I like what Susie said for a couple of reasons. One is doing what Susie suggested is going to give you more through line. And I think that's what I would love to see with this movement is something that connects more. Because right now I feel like, you know, there are a lot of, to use that cornfield analogy, there are a lot of different types of corn in the cornfield. And I would love something to kind of connect through that. So um, the idea that the timpani and the harp are like one kind of super instrument, and that's a really common way of thinking about things in orchestration, could really help with that. And of course, I love because I'm sort of like I do a lot of minimalisty things. I love the idea of just taking those octaves and seeing what emanates from that, seeing what can blossom from that. And on top of Susie's suggestion, I will add one thing, which is that it can also be following the dynamics. So I don't. Could you go back to page 20-ish? I think is where we're seeing the harp.
Page 20. Oh, remind me to also talk about the through line thing, like after you're done.
Okay, cool.
Page 20.
Yeah. So as the and then if you just scroll a bit like down, if we can follow that harp through. Yeah. So we have dynamic changes in the strings, right? And when the strings change dynamics, that's a big event because there are a million string instruments on the stage. And yes, the harp too is changing dynamics. Maybe you can support the dynamic changes through textural changes as well. When things are getting loud, the harp is when things are soft, right? The harp is playing piano and it feels good. When things are loud, the harp is like still just playing one note and it's just like, okay, I'm buried now. So maybe the harp is playing octaves when things get loud. Or as Susie's suggesting, now maybe there are these arpeggios. So just, using texture as a way to orchestrate dynamics is something that we can be doing with all the instruments and all the combinations of instruments. And when you have an instrument like a harp where you can play multiple notes at once, you can be thinking about layering notes as a way to gain dynamics even within a single instrument. So you were going to say something else about through line.
Yeah, like when I first like this piece reminds me of two pieces. Like the beginning part, the warmness reminds me of like a Max Richter. Like he's like a recomposed version of Vivaldi's like fourth season.
Oh.
Then like as they keep going, just like there's so much going on there. Like I feel like either you can do a solo line to just like to connect things or embrace it. Like, do
Hmm.
you know Schnicke Symphony Number One's Movement Two?
No.
I guess we shouldn't play it. But anyway, it's like a movement that at the very beginning, it's like da di da da da. It's like very baroque-ish.
Oh, I
Very
do know that. Yeah, the one
then
that
somehow
it
it just went
layers.
wild. It just
Yeah.
like go elsewhere. Then in the middle of it, you start to have like very almost like a jazz big band stuff in the
Okay.
middle. It's like it was like a whole movement at the very beginning, just like, huh, interesting. And then in the middle of it, I'm just like sitting there, just like, what is this going? I have no idea. I'm so confused, but I love this. You know, like it really depends on what kind of scene you want to go for it. But like if you want that vibe, like I don't know, it could even get more chaotic. Just like have one element, pick one element that always come back, which you actually
Mm.
did. The beginning part is so memorable in a way because when I first heard it, I was just like, there is so there's so much timpani to the point where I'm just like I feel like it could get slightly less timpani than like it kind of ends up there enters a new section. Like what if like the brand is a lot of timpani? I'm just gonna like after going over to somewhere else, I'm back to this section again. Somewhere else, oh, I'm back to a ton of timpani again.
Hmm.
I I guess timpani is not the point of this piece, but anyway, it could be really cool depending
Yeah.
on what you want.
Yeah. Thinking about Beethoven's Ninth having a timpani brand as well, the first movement.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, cool. Um,
Or like since we're talking about big names now, if you're a Mozart, you can fugue them all together, like Symphony Number
oh yeah.
40.
Yeah.
Fugue them together.
Layer them at the end. Yeah. Yeah, and I would even consider deleting some sections, um, because we have a lot of different ideas in this piece, and I mean in this movement, and what the you know what that means is that you can curate your best ones, right? You can curate the ones that make the biggest impact on the listener, and so that could be a way also to create more through line is to have fewer ideas, right? I know it's going to make it shorter, and that might feel like backwards motion, but after you do it, if you feel better about it, it will feel like forward motion. Like, deleting is progress. Just save save earlier versions so that if you change your mind, you have access to it. But don't be. I've thrown away, probably more music than I have kept, um, by a long shot. So don't be afraid to edit yourself, when you feel like things need to kind of unify.
Like a slightly more gross way to say it. Like when I was at CCM, one of my teacher always tell me after I finish a piece, says like, go massage your piece a little bit, so like all the muscles falling into its fitting place.
Mm-hmm.
It's you just massage. You just after you finish that, like it's like you're just when you're nice and sore, like all the muscles are tense. Now you need to just massage it to
Okay,
make sure it's like
that's
you have the
nice.
image now.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
that can happen without throwing things away. That can be this thing you do after you get it like down to the length you want, is just like, yeah, get it to settle. That makes a lot of
Hmm.
sense to me though. Was that a Francoli thing?
No, keep guessing.
Fide?
No.
Neons?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Massage the piece.
Cool. All right. Well, so thank you so much, Akbar. Really appreciate you submitting your piece. Um, Thanks to everyone who is watching, and Stephen, also for submitting your piece. And we basically want to do things a little bit differently today. In the past, we've told you about our um, Composers Academy. Today, we want to tell you a little bit about our private studios. So we do teach one-on-one lessons online, We teach composers, and we teach music theory, and we have our own method of teaching music theory that's focused on active understanding. So we call it musicianship instead of theory because you can actually do things rather than just know them. Um, but Susie, do you want to talk about some of the composers you've mentored one on one?
I mean, if who do you want me to talk about?
I mean, you got some options, right? So
I guess like this is the scary thing of like a dude decided, oh yeah, we're gonna talk about this. We don't have a script, we don't have a
yeah, we
fancy
don't have a
like
script.
slide deck.
We decided
Um,
this like 5 minutes before.
I mean, the thing with composers is that I think it's more important about what's your goal. Then I always feel like my job is to make sure you're doing your thing. That like I want to understand you.
Yeah,
Then so it's like for my composition students, like the longest one I dealt with, it's kind of sad. He's an undergrad now.
that's
He's
awesome. That's
yeah.
not sad.
It's like I mean like he's been with me for like a year and a good a year and a half. Now
Mm-hmm.
he's an undergrad now. It's like okay, he's gone, you know.
Yeah.
So like as an empty nester, I do have spots
And where is he in undergrad?
like Peabody
Yeah, Peabody
yeah,
studying film scoring basically.
films.
And for
Yeah,
those of you who don't know, that's one of the best. That's a really top-notch program. So Susie helped him get into that, and
I
at
mean, like he's always like a like as soon as he got in, he's like somebody who's really into like writing, making music in a DAW. So like
mm,
I feel like there are two different kinds of composers. Type one is that we think about things, then we try to make that into music. Type two is think about sound, then
mm,
like think about oh yeah, how can I put the sound onto pieces of paper? I've seen both.
mm,
It's like for him, it's always like if like this is your way of making music, then do it your way. So like I basically I started off like thinking more about like a project and how and forcing him into, hey, you have like you're really good with having sound improvise them. I'm just gonna cuff you so that you have to think inside a small box. I just start to like
mm,
throwing constraint at him, make sure he's uncomfortable. Therefore,
mm.
like it will be like new interesting things getting out of it. And then like one thing we did was like I kind of like half forced him into like doing kind of hand drawing scores. It was a
Mm,
beautiful piece. Like
mm,
it's actually on the showcase.
mm-hmm. The one about
It's about
flight.
yep.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful score.
yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, these are the people we think about all the time, and we think about how to best serve their goals. So, I have a student who it started as a theory student, and then at some point I was like, "Do you want to try composing?" And now he's like obsessed with it and does it every day and has really progressed. He is not trying to make a career out of music, which is awesome. I highly recommend that. Um, if you do want to try to make a career out of music, we can also help you along that road. But you know, this is not about getting rich quick through, you know, selling your music, whatever. This is just about helping you find joy in your music, which will help you, you know, develop as an artist as well. And we're happy to push you, as Susie said, you know, if that helps your goals. We have yeah, we have students that are still in high school. I tend to take the students who are more interested in digital audio workstation type work more exclusively, although we're both comfortable with DAWs. I use Ableton. I have used Logic in the past, and so we recognize that composition is not just putting notes on a page and giving it to someone else. Composition could just mean making everything yourself and hitting play, right? And so we've seen lots of approaches to that, from experimental to like dance music, um, to, you know, rap like beats. Um, we've been able to find ways to help with all that stuff. So it's nice that Susie and I have very different perspectives, and um,
Do we?
yeah, sometimes we agree on a fair amount of stuff, but it's also I think it's really helpful when I hear from from a student that they got one thing from you and something else from me, and it's like, okay, good. That's like the
That's why
Hegelian
we have an
dialectic.
acad.
That's
That's kind of like that's why we have an academy that like somehow like a student would just like a member, and member would just throw in a piece of work like in, and then 2 months later, oh, the work progressed. Then like it would be like first time, second time happened to me. I'm just like, oh yeah, this thing. Then like sometimes we haven't fight each other yet.
no.
I think that's a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So let us know.
Mm-hmm.
You can email us at info@synthes.cc. I'm going to put that in the chat, and all of the robots are going to scrape it, and now we're going to get even more spam. But if you're a human, please email us and say hi, and we would love to hear from you.
Talking about spam. I think like have you seen one that says like they want us to like represent their jewelry?
Oh yeah, I get that all the time from Instagram. I'm like, do you? Do you really?
Can you picture yourself in like a gold necklace with like some pearls?
I mean, I guess that could be another possible future or parallel present.
Well,
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Thank you, Susie. And I hope you got something out of this. And we may or may not do this again. If you really want us to do this again, please email us and beg us to do it again. And get some friends, right? Like we need people to submit so that
yeah,
we.
it's like if we don't have any submission, then we're not gonna sit in here me just staring at Nate. Then
Yeah.
actually, it could be fun to do like a live stream of just like we're not gonna do anything. We're just staring.
Yeah, we might get the same number of viewers if we did that.
Oh. Well, like and subscribe if you
Oh
want
yeah.
us to do the steering game. Okay, if like we hit like say 500 likes on this video, we will do a steering 1 hour.
Yep. Cool.
Deal?
Yeah, we should probably put a time like in the next 5 years.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Five. Okay, all right. Okay, I think it's gonna happen if it's like in the
Great.
next 5 years. We have 500 likes on this video.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, then we'll. Okay, all right.
Okay, everyone.